Hello and good evening po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to Gurong Pinoy's Civil Service Exam Review. Today is May 14th and we are celebrating a very special day today. Happy Mother's Day to all our mothers. Of course, we, your Gurong Pinoy family, is here to celebrate and pray for you, pray with you, that come August 2023, you will receive the best Mother's Day's gift ever. I-claim na po natin yan, of course, that you will all make it to 2023 Civil Service Examination. All right? I am your coach, Coach Sha, and please join me from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. tonight. I will be discussing with you test items on verbal reasoning from your recently concluded civil service examination diagnostic test with Gurong Pinoy. The diagnostic test materials and the full video of tonight's review session, however, is exclusively shared to Gurong Pinoy's group members. So if you wish to avail of these materials, kindly do visit us in our Gurong Pinoy Facebook page and message us. We will be glad to respond to your inquiries. Okay? Now, as you do visit our Gurong Pinoy's Facebook page, I wish that you do give us a like, a heart, and especially follow us. And I can see that in our comment section, some people are already tagging their friends, sending a greetings to me, their greetings to me. So, para naman po malaman ko kung gaano kalawak yung sakop ng session natin for tonight, please do key in your location. So I can also do the shout out to our aspiring civil servants here. You may also tag your friends who are also aspiring to ace the civil service examination, or those who are taking the licensure examination for teachers may also join here. So if you have friends who are taking any of the two tests, you may tag them here. We, your Gurong Pinoy family, will be glad to help as many aspiring civil servants and teachers. All right? Of course, achieve their dreams. All right. So, good evening to Sir Erickson. Sir Erickson, welcome po. Ma'am Hansel. Ma'am Hansel, if you wish to know how to, just visit us in our Facebook page and then send us a message. All right. Good evening po. I don't know how to read this. Nurul Isha. Wow. Your name, ano ba? The name is so unique. It's my first time to encounter this name. I like your name po. Good evening. Sir JB. Good evening po. Ma'am Sheen. And then Ma'am Jennifer. Yeah, and Ma'am Getz and Ma'am Wency. All right? Do we have audiences in Mindanao ba? I'm just guessing Ma'am Nurul Isha is from Mindanao. Do we have foreign audiences tonight? All right, sige. So just key in your location, tag your friends here, and help us reach our 1,000 stars by sending us a star to show your support to us. Okay? So I'd like to invite you now to begin our session. It's already 7:04. Let us begin our session with a prayer. Lord, we know that you are always with us and you love us. Give us peace of mind as we prepare for this time of study. Help us to focus on the discussion. Keep us from all the distractions so that we will make the best use of this time that you have made available to us. Give us insight that we may understand what we are studying and help us to remember it when the time comes. Above all, we thank you for the ability to be able to study and for the many gifts and talents you have bestowed upon us. Help us always to use them in such a way that they honor you and do justice to ourselves and to others. Amen. All right. Let me check the comment section. So we have more people coming in, joining us. So welcome po sa mga nakaka-join lang. Allow me to start the session with an inspirational quote. This one I took from Alexander Graham Bell. And he said that before anything else, preparation is the key to success. Of course, you are taking your first step. Oh no, you have already taken your first step when you answer the diagnostic test for the civil service examination review brought to you by Gurong Pinoy. And now is the second step, attending the discussion session where we will try to rationalize test items and arrive at best answers. And each day, I hope that you spend some time to review in order for you to really fully prepare yourself come August 2003 when you will be taking the civil service examination. All right, I hope we remember this quote from Alexander Graham Bell. And today, I have prepared the reviewer for the diagnostic test that you have just taken, and I focused on the English test items. So I have divided it into 4 parts. The first part of the test is on identifying errors. Let's see test items. Let's see these test items whether you will be able to answer them correctly. And then there's also a part where you are dealing with grammar and correct usage. Uh, Except for the test format, the part 1 and part 2 of the review session focuses on one topic, that's grammar. And then the second one is on writing, logical organization of ideas. So we will test how well you write a paragraph. But instead of writing with your own ideas, you are just asked to organize ideas so that you come up with the best and logical write-up or article. And finally, we will be facing with test items that will challenge how well we comprehend what we have read. So this is the preview of tonight's session. All right? Sige. So once again, welcome to those who have just come in. Please do tag your friends so that they will be able to join us. And of course, please don't forget to give us a heart, a star, or a like, or especially a star. So let's now begin. So part 1 of the session is on identifying errors. In this test, you will be faced with a sentence with underlined parts. For some, the underlined parts consist of a word. For some, it consists of phrases. And then you are being challenged to identify which part there is not acceptable in the formal English, or which part consists the error. But in some cases, you will also encounter sentences which does not have an error at all. So let's read the instruction. In each item in this section consists of a sentence with underlined words or phrases. Choose the underlined word or phrase which is not acceptable in the formal written English. If the sentence has no error, however, please choose a 5. So I would like now to invite you that as you see the choices, please key in our comments section the number that corresponds to your answer. All right, so I would be able to see how many of you are getting it right and how many would need more clarification or explanation. All right, good evening po. Let's start with item number 1. Get ready with your pen, your writing materials. If you do have your notebooks with you for you to take down notes, that would be better. Other than the gadget that we use, for me, I prefer always to have a notebook for my for my review. It's easier to look up for some items that I missed or that I have difficulty with using a notebook than a gadget. All right. Number one, a three-act play or a novel are to be read. A total of 200 pages of poetry, lyric, dramatic, or narrative is also required of everyone. Or five, there's no error. Can you key in your response? I've got one answer from Wency. And if si Ma'am Wen, is this a ma'am or a sir? The name seems confusing. Oh, may I ask if you're having the same difficulty, Ma'am Marites? Baka po yung ano lang, yung sa signal nyo lang po. In my case, I'm using two gadgets and it's clear on my end. Paki-check na lang po yung connection natin. Alright? So I've got one answer. Let me wait for the others. Medyo yung identifying error test item kasi it's analytical. You have to chunk the sentences into different parts and ano ba? You have to dig on your knowledge of the grammar, English grammar rules in order to say whether the said part is really correct or not. So we have, Sir Wency. Thank you po, Sir Wency. So I've got three different answers. So there are those who say three. There's one who says four, and two who says four, and one says one. All right. Sige. Are you ready to get to know the answer? So two na, yung number one. So mas maraming nagsasabi na three is the erroneous part of poetry, lyric, dramatic, or narrative. This one is this one deals with the use of long dash. We call that MM dash. And then listing of words in a series separated by or. Let's see. Parang mas marami yung nagsasabing three. All right. So nobody answered two, and you are right. The second part, the one labeled two, is actually a correct part. Let's see. Let's take a look at number one. For those who said that it's number one, tama po kayo. Kasi if we have to analyze this part, we have two subjects. A three-act play or a novel. So there are two nouns that are being mentioned, being highlighted as the topic of the sentence, but it is separated or joined by the word or. And when we say or, you have to choose between two options. Is it the first one or the second one? Unlike when we use the word and, where we have to join the two nouns, here we use the writer uses or. So you have to choose between two options. And since there are two nouns that are mentioned, the verb used is are to be read. Tama po ba? Because we have two subjects named. Now, if we continue with that, we have to dig our knowledge. Nandito pa ba sa brain natin yung knowledge on subject-verb agreement? There's one. Rule number 3 says, when a compound subject, when we say compound subject, meaning two or more nouns joined together, is joined by the words or nor, the verb should agree with the part of the subject that is nearer to the verb. Unlike when we say or, the word or is one of our clues, Sir JB. one of our clues. So if you see two or more nouns that are separated or joined by the word or nor, we have to agree our verb to the subject that is closest to that verb. All right. For example, the boy or his friends run every day. So we have his friends being the noun closest to the verb run. And so we take the plural subject, friends, many of them. So the verb remains in the base form. But take a look at the second sentence. Either Sean or Drew leads the prayer today. So the subject closest or the noun closest to the verb leads is Drew. Thus, Drew becomes our subject. And for the last sentence, neither the students nor the teacher is absent today. So the teacher is the noun closest to the verb is, and so the teacher becomes our subject. Let me see. So in this case, instead of saying are to be read, we take a look at the two options, a three-act play, that's one, but the closest to the verb is a novel. Hence, our subject here is a novel. It's singular. And so the verb should be is, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. So a total of 200 pages. Here, we are being challenged to remember how we write numbers acting as an adjective. And in this case, this is correctly written. So let's just have a review of how to write numbers. There are rules in writing. There are rules whether to spell out a number or to write the number as ano ba as in the figures. So what does spelling out of numbers say? So rule number 1 says we have to hyphenate all numbers between 21 to 99. But we don't include those which are divisible by 10. So what do I mean? For example, 20. So 20 is a word. It's not hyphenated anymore. But if we say 21, so there's a hyphen between 20 and 1. So 20-1. The same with 234. So 200 is not hyphenated, but 34, that is a number between 21 to 99. So we hyphenate 30-4. But take a look at 450. 50 is a number between 21 to 99, but it is divisible by 10. And so we don't hyphenate anymore. All right? And considering the words 200 pages, that's also correct. So 200 is an adjective that describes pages. Now, when do we hyphenate in this format? If we use the numbers being adjectives to a certain noun, for example, instead of saying a 5-year-old boy, we say a 5-year-old boy. So there's hyphen between 5-year and old. The same way when we say a book that has 200 pages, just like what we have in our test item. So if we convert the numbers as an adjective, we say a 200-page book. And now book becomes the noun, not the page. So 2 hyphenated between 100 and between page. Okay? So a creature with 3 legs. So we say 3-legged creature. Hyphenated 3 and legged. All right? I hope you take note of this. And so Number three is also correct. Let's try to dissect this one more. So when we say, notice that this item or this test item has two parts. This is actually a compound sentence. Notice the semicolon after the word read in part one, or in part one. A three-act play or a novel are to be read. This one is a simple sentence. And another sentence follows after, but is separated by a semicolon here after the word read. And this simple sentence states, a total of 200 pages of poetry is also required of everyone. So since this is a simple sentence, it must have a subject and a verb. So if we locate the subject, it is found in part two. We see there the word total, a total. How many total are we talking about? So there's only one, a total. So it's a singular subject. And notice that our verb is far away from that. We call we call the words or the phrases in between. Let's take a look at this. Of 200 pages of poetry, lyric, dramatic, or narrative, this is what we call an intervening phrase. Phrase rather. When we say intervening phrase, that's a phrase no matter how long it is. Sometimes it may consist of only two words, sometimes even longer, just like the one you see in the example. But it is a phrase that separates the subject from the verb, and it makes it confusing for some people, because what we know of as a basic rule is that a subject is always followed by the verb. But for some more complicated sentences, the verb is separated from the subject by an intervening phrase. That's why it's called intervening. It intervenes, nakikialam, kumbaga nga, nakikialam, para lang paghirapan yung mga tao to check which one is, whether the subject and the verb agree with each other. All right? So here, a total, there's only one. So the verb that agrees with it is. So tama. And then, of 200 pages of what? So of poetry. The use of the preposition is also correct. This is a prepositional phrase of poetry. Now I mentioned earlier that we will be talking about M dash here. Let's just differentiate the M dash from the N dash. The M dash is the much longer one, just like what you have just seen. While the N dash, this is most commonly used. You've seen it earlier when I introduced you to hyphens, hyphenating numbers. So how do we differentiate the two, and how do we use them? So the shorter one, we call it N dash, is used to mark ranges, meaning two. For example, Mandurriao, or what is let me choose another example. By the way, I reside in Iloilo. Baka meron ding mga hindi taga Iloilo dito. Ano ba? Sige. Let me use landmarks in Iloilo. Atria to SMCP. So I would use an N dash to connect the two. Or when we mention dates from 1950 1956, meaning two, from 1950 to 1956. On the other hand, we have the longer dash. We call it an M dash. It is used to separate extra information or mark a break in a sentence. For example, if you would like to add more details about what dark leafy greens are, when you say dark leafy greens, maybe not so clear with others who will be reading it. And so to illustrate or to add more details about what it means, we use an M dash and continue listing down examples. So dark leafy greens, M dash, such as spinach, kale, and chard. And then another M dash. So what's good to note about using M dash is if you have used the additional details are surrounded by the two M dashes. Just take a look at the ones you can see on the slide. Are important part of a healthy diet. Okay. So going back of poetry. So what are examples of poetry? So to elaborate more on poetry, we use the M dash, then lyric, dramatic, or narrative. So these are the three examples of poetry. And then use the verb is. Those who say for, it's also correct. When we say also, so the use of the word also here signifies that there's another one. In the first part, it says a 3-act play or a novel are to be read. Also is a total of 200 pages of poetry. So the use of also is correct. We say also meaning we add another information. And then we use the word is here. So the word required completes the verb phrase. So is required. When we say when we have the verb phrase, when we say verb phrase, it consists of usually a linking verb followed by a past participle form of the verb. And in this case, required, the linking verb is, and then required is the past participle form. So the verb phrase is correctly written and is complete given the two of everyone. So once again, congratulations to those who got it. The correct answer is 1. Alright? Parang nasa number 1 pa lang tayo pero hinihingal na po ako. Sige, allow me to breathe for a while. Get ready for our test item number 2. Yeah. Oh, I'm seeing Sir JC again. Good luck and God bless po sa batch na to. Sir JC, welcome po. Alright. Thank you, Sir JC, for the support. And congratulations ba? Congratulations. Let's go to test item number 2. Accuracy of movement, like accuracy of words, are essential to the success of magical rites. Which one po ba yung erroneous dito? But if there's no error that you can find, please key in number 5. Right? I'll give you some time. All right, so we have two answers. It's between 3 and 5. All right, Sir Wency also says 3. What about the others? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Ma'am Gerald. For those who also know how the statement could be improved, you can also input the correction like what Ma'am Gerald did. So could it be? Okay. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Sir JC. For us to better monitor the answers to the test items, it would also be good to input the test item first. Right now, we are on item number 22. So we say 22 dot and your answer. So 22.3. Right? So that later, for those who will be able to miss it, who will be missing it, can backtrack the comments, the messages. Yeah, so many answered. I think it's varied. There are those who say 3, 5, 4. Parang nobody chooses number 2 all the time, no? In 21 and 22, nobody did answer number 2. All right, sige, let's check. So majority of you says it's 3. Tama. So when we say accuracy of movement, accuracy is a noun, so of a preposition movement, correct? And then to separate it, we use a comma, accuracy of movement, comma, separate it with another group of word which may act like a noun, like accuracy of words, separate it, and then we have the verb phrase are essential to, and then to what? So we elaborate by providing more information to the success of magical rites. So there's actually an erroneous part here, and 22's error is, you're right, part 3 are essential to. Why? So when you say accuracy of movement, separate it with like accuracy of words. Remember my discussion earlier on intervening phrases? What we know, an intervening phrase can be easily spotted if you are just aware of the clues. So what are the clues for an intervening phrase? Usually it begins with a word such as, like, together, with, along. These are just some of the examples. For example, the coach, comma, together with the athletes, comma. So together with the athletes is an intervening phrase. It is not counted as part of the subject. Nakikialam lang siya. Alright? And in this case, like accuracy of words, nakikialam lang po siya sa subject natin. But the real subject here is accuracy of movement. And when you say accuracy of movement, there's only one thing that we're talking about. Di po ba? And so, when we say accuracy, that's singular, instead of saying are essential, it should have been is essential to. Okay? So here, to elaborate more on what I just said earlier. So the subject accuracy matches the verb is instead of using are. So the erroneous part is 3. Right? Stay here. Let's go to number 23. Again, I just would like to invite you, whenever you key in your answers, please do input the test number first. For example, we are now on item number 23. All right? Allow me to read the test item. If anybody objects, let them think of a better scheme rather than make fun of the proposed plan. Is there no error here? If there is, kindly input the answer. So I have one answer, 1. If anybody objects. What about the others? Let's also take a look at part 2, 3, and 4. Tama po kaya sila? So we have two answers. Wala po bang error dito? What do you think? Oh, so two people answered 5. Oh, 3. So there's no error here. There's also one who says 3. Let's see. So 1, 3, and 5. Finally, there's somebody who answered 2. All right. Sige, let's take a look. Let's have the first part first. So let's take a look at this. If you answered 1, this is actually correct. So when you say if, it's a conditional statement. So if anybody objects, then there must be an option. So if anybody objects, then what will they do? So let them think of a better scheme rather than make fun of the proposed plan. So the use of the word if is correct. Let's take a look at the subject verb agreement part. Anybody, all indefinite pronouns that end with one, thing, and body are always singular. Someone is happy today. So someone is singular. Everybody is celebrating Mother's Day today. So everybody is also singular. Ano pa ba? Thing is also singular. Nothing is impossible to those who aspire to pass the civil service examination. So nothing is singular. All the pronouns, indefinite pronouns that end with one, body, and thing are always singular in number. So anybody is singular, matches with the verb objects. Anybody objects, not anybody object. So it ends with an S, all right? And here, if you are wondering, the word objects function as a verb, not as a subject. That's why if you can differentiate the stress that I'm using, if it's a noun, I would say object. Object. It's in the first syllable stress. But if it is a verb, then I would say object. It's now in the second syllable. All right? So in this case, objects matches the singular subject anybody. It should be in the S form. So number 1 is correct. Let's go to number 2, part 2. Let them think of a better scheme. Earlier, I mentioned that all pronouns that end with one, body, and thing are always singular in number. And so, because anybody is singular, then the most appropriate pronoun, personal pronoun, that could replace it is not them, because them is a plural pronoun, plural in number, meaning many. So in this case, to maintain the singularity of the subject that we are talking about, then we have to use either him or her. If anybody objects, let him or her think of a better scheme. All right? So the correct answer here is 2. How come that number 3 is correct? When you hear the focus of the part is on the use of rather than. When we say rather than, we use such phrase to give importance to one thing from the two alternatives that are being given. For example, he wanted to be an actor rather than a comedian. So there are two alternatives that are being mentioned: to be an actor and to be a comedian. So for a person to choose between these two options or alternatives, we connect them with the phrase rather than. So going back to our item number 3, the use of rather than here is actually correct because the writer is presenting two options. The first option is for anybody to think of a better scheme, and the second option is for anybody to make fun of the proposed plan. So which of the two options will the person be choosing? So here we use the phrase rather than to present the two options. And the fourth item is also correct. So when we say make fun of what? So the prepositional phrase of the proposed plan is also correct. When we say proposed, it ends with a D, then it becomes an adjective as by function. When we say propose, it could be it is a verb, propose, but the adding of the D here and the writing it before a noun, which is plan, makes it an adjective. Make fun of what? Of the proposed plan. So proposed here modifies the word plan. By function, it becomes correct, or it is correct. All right? So just to review, the erroneous part here is part 2. Change them into him or her. Let's see. Let's go to number 24. In this modern age of today, most people are too highly educated to believe in superstitions. No error. Please input number 24 and then write your answer. Is this an erroneous sentence? If it is, which part do you think contains the error? All right. So two, most people are. Or one, in this modern age of today. All right. So each of the part is now represented. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's take a look. What could be the erroneous part here? Number 1, those who said to Sir JB and to Sir JB and to Sir Wency, you are correct. So number 1, this is diction. So choice of words. Sometimes speakers or writers, maybe to fit the time limit for a certain speech or to hit the minimum word count, we continue writing with words which are actually either redundant or parang it serves no purpose at all. And in this case, there are a lot of redundancies here. So when I say modern age, when we talk about modern age, we're also talking about today's age. So when you say in this modern age of today, you are repeating what you mean with different words nga lang. So how to better say it? In this modern age, or in today's age, to make it to make it simpler with less word count, in today's age, comma, and then continue with the statement. So what about for those who answered two? This is actually correct. So when we say most, many, these are plural pronouns. And so when we say most people, meaning we're talking about many people, so the verb that should agree with it is are. So this part is correct. When we say too highly educated, actually my first guess was also number 3 because it seems that there are too many, the use of the word too, pairing it with highly seems a little bit off. Although if we take a look at the structure, it's also correct. When we say highly, it's an adverb. Highly educated. How educated is the person? So we would say he is highly educated. So highly is an adverb that modifies the 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 adjective educated, but there's another adverb that comes before that in the form of to. And to is an adverb that expresses extensiveness. So how highly educated is the person? They would say too highly educated. But seldom do we use this. When we say too highly educated, it must fit in a certain context so that it would not be off. Instead of saying too highly educated, what we usually encounter is the word very. So we say very highly educated. How educated is the person? And then the other one would respond, he is very highly educated. But I tried to ask for more feedback from colleagues and from network so that I will be able to relay to you the best possible explanation that I could get. So here is what my friend said. I hope it is clear from your screen, but I highlighted significant words there. So when we say, when we use the word to, we mean that it is more than necessary or excessive. That's why here I mentioned to an extensive degree. So maybe it is already not necessary. Too highly educated. When we say too highly educated, it may not, the being highly educated may not be too necessary anymore. And so what we usually use is the word very to mean what it should mean. For example, he is a very highly educated person, meaning we're talking about someone who has a lot of education or expertise. I think you have encountered people who have earned a lot of degrees, masters, graduate. So that person could be a very highly educated person. But when we say too highly educated, that's also correct if it is in a context that you mean to say that someone has more education than they need. For example, if you have a principal who has uh, a master's degree in different fields, but what he actually needs is just a postgraduate degree for curriculum, for administration and supervision, but he has other what do you call that, master's or doctorate degrees not necessarily related to his field or to his job, then we can use too highly educated. But if we just mean that someone has a lot of education or expertise, making him or her very credible for the job that he is in, then we say very highly educated. But still, there's no context that is given here. We are just provided with this statement, and the use of the two adverbs are still consistently correct. So three is still correct. So too highly educated for what or to what? So to believe in superstitions. So number four addresses the concern with number three. And so the erroneous part here is option one. All right? Yeah. Now let's go to number 25. By the way, if you do have questions or if things are quite unclear to you, you can also input in the comment section so I can attend to them and hopefully respond to them appropriately and correctly. Number 25, the success of a leader lays not only on the leader's ability to influence people, but also in the sincerity of the purpose that he desires to achieve. This one is a much longer text. I'll give you time. Please do input the test item number. It's already 25, and then key in your answer, please. Does this sentence contain an error? Or if yes, please do key in the answer. All right, varied answer 2 and 1. If you have an answer, if you say, for example, number 1, which do you think is that erroneous part? Of course, not everything in the option, in the said option is erroneous. Only one word there, or maybe two. So, which do you think needs to be improved? If it is in option 2, or option 4, or option 1, right? So, well represented na po yung mga options natin. Let's talk about it na. Lays, 1 lays. Yeah, you're right, Sir Jerry. This one is the erroneous part. The success of a leader lays. Right? Okay, let's talk about it. Now, if we consider subject-verb agreement, this part is actually correct. The subject here is success. There's only one success being talked about. Yeah, you're right, Ma'am Ali. Ma'am Ali ba or Ma'am Alay? Ma'am Ali. So we're talking about success, and there's only one. That's singular in number. And so the verb agrees to it, lays, which is in the singular form, or in the S form rather, lays. However, this one is not on the subject and verb agreement rule. Rather, it's on diction, the correct word usage. Should it be lays? What do we mean when we say lays? So let's differentiate. Usually, the word lie and lay are misconceived or misused, rather misused. And so, usually when you say lie, as in to be in a lying position, to lie down, for example, and then lay is its past tense, or lay, like to lay an egg. You put something on a surface. For example, I lay my head on the bed, parang ganun po. And here, there's another meaning for that. For example, when we talk about where something such as a problem, a solution, or a fault lies, not lays. So when we're meaning that what something consists of or involves or is caused by, then we use the word lie or lies. For example, we must be clear about where the responsibility lies, not lays. Or the strength of the nation lies in the homes of its people. While when we say lay, we mean to put something on something or to express something. For example, he lays emphasis on the fact that he has never been found guilty of a crime. So he expresses that he has never been caught doing something bad. So here, lay means to express, or she's trying to lay the blame on someone else. So she's trying to put the blame on someone else. Here we use the word lay. But in the sentence here, you are right, Ma'am Ali, when you say it should have been lies. The success of a leader lies not only on his ability to influence, but also on his sincerity to achieve what he wishes to achieve. Okay? Now, here, the use of in the option 2, what makes it correct is because it presents where the success lies. And it says here, not only. The use of the phrase not only but also is correct in option 2 and number 4. In option 1, it says leaders' ability to influence people. That's one foundation of the successful leader. And the second one is in the third option, his sincerity. So we use the phrases not only but also. Hindi ko alam kung ang leader ba ay he or she. Okay. Yeah. Tama din po, Sir JB. Sometimes we get confused when yung gender, the gender of the thing of the gender of the person that we are talking about is unclear. For example, a leader can be a girl or a boy. Now, grammar says that if the gender is not clear, sometimes we could use the words he or she. But there are also another rule says that because to use the phrase he or she is lengthy, then we substitute it with a he instead, but we don't replace it with a she. Medyo masculine po yung ano, yung explanation. Ano ba? Feminist. There's an issue on feminism. Pero the use of the word he would already fit in whether the leader would be a male or a female. So if we are not so clear with the gender of our subject, we can just use he. If not, we can also use he or she. All right? I hope I clarified. But in number 4, with that explanation, he also goes with the verb desires, which is S, is in the S form. So he desires. And then the use of the word that, it's a relative pronoun connecting to or referring to purpose. So that he desires to achieve. And what is that? It's the leader's purpose or sincerity of the purpose. Okay? So just to backtrack, our erroneous part here is option 1. Okay? Let's go to number 26. I used to take a short siesta every afternoon after lunch. Is there an error in this part or in this statement? If yes, please do identify.